founding father without a father. Got a lot farther by working a lot harder, by being a lot smarter, by being a self-starter.
After 4 years, many people around the world are going to finally be able to see Hamilton. So how do you feel seeing your work turned into a cinematic experience? Alex, for example.
Yeah, it's mind-blowing. I often think about how the show began and how the beginnings of it were very simple. It was just like an idea that lin-manuel had that turned into a demo, that turned into him presenting it to me, that turned into a White House performance, et cetera, and so on, so on. And the next thing I know, I'm looking at my Apple TV on Disney Plus, and I see a picture with an advertisement on Hamilton on it. I never in a million years imagined that that's what we'd get to. But I'm just really moved that the show has had that kind of impact, and that people have a connection with it, that they want to see a different incarnation of it. Because I'm very, very proud of the cast album that came out in 2015, but this is not the cast album. This is a different experience. And this is trying to see the totality of the show. It's a way to see Andy's brilliant work. It's a way to see how Binkley's brilliant design and Paul Tazwell's brilliant costumes. It will bring a new dimension to an understanding of the show that people might not have seen before. And I think that could inspire a lot of folks. I'm looking forward to see what happens through that.
There are so many people that have seen this show, and our family, this kind of Hamilton family, is shockingly large. I remember I was in Brazil for a Comic-Con many years ago, and trying to introduce a new sci-fi character, and all these people that couldn't even speak English were like, Angelica, satisfied, I'm not satisfied, it's like, so it's as big as it always is. What's humbling is that there are so many people who have no idea about Hamilton. And many of them are really really uniquely who this musical will best serve. And so I'm really excited about them having access to this show and hopefully wanting to join this family.
So how exciting it is that, the whole world is going to see Hamilton. Are you ready for a new wave of Hamilton obsession?
I'm not ready. I'm excited, and I'm curious to see what it is. And hopefully I can get free things in different countries now.
Yeah. Like, I'm ready for these Instagram followers to go like this, so we can get more endorsements.
I'm trying to
I'm excited. But honestly, Pedro, I think it's gonna be dope that so many people around the world are gonna have this show now, and they don't have to pay anywhere between $70 and $1,000 to sit and to just get or fly from somewhere from across the world to come see the show. And like, our director said something so dope. He said something really awesome, that everyone now has the same seat. Yeah, he said to me, we're in a conversation. He was like, no one has a better seat than anybody. No one's in the back. Everybody's got the same seat for whatever $6.99 I think or something for Disney Plus. And they can watch it as many times as they want, with the same view. And I think, that's really amazing.
Chris, how do you feel now that the whole world can finally see Hamilton? How do you think they will? I mean, how is it different from the live experience?
Well, I mean, the obvious, you're not sitting in a room, and the ability to share moments with a large group of people is a very unique theatrical experience. However, when you're able to do that, when you're able to experience any part of it, be it this type of presentation, this type of film, it's really exciting that so many people will get to partake in that experience in a very unique way. I mean, Tommy he went out of his way to make this thing special. From the perspective of a theater goer's experience, except no theater goer has ever had this particular viewpoint.
One thing, when I started choreographing, I thought it was really important to trust dance as storytelling. And the way that I'm maybe most blessed with Lynn, Tommy, and Alex is that they have given me a lot of opportunity to make storytelling happen. And the thing about theater is, if it's truly honest, it moves people. And I'm very proud that our show is very, very honest. And when it's on screen, the audience can actually look closer at physicality that sometimes flies past them on the stage. And so in that way, I think it's going to open people's mind to the power of theater, the power that art, music, dance can be actually very honest storytelling. It gives them a microscope to look at the idea of theater differently, not just our story, but theater. And I think that'll open up a lot of people's minds, and a lot of people will believe in theater and maybe find a vocation in theater who never knew it was there.
Well, David, what are your memories of the nights that this show was recorded? Was there additional pressure? Was it hard not to think about it when you were on stage?
No, I mean, we were, you know, for the most part, what Tommy Kail really allowed us to do was just do this show. We were, you know, audience was there just like always. There were some cameras, but they were pretty out of the way. And I don't see very well anyway, so I couldn't see them. And so yeah, I just got to do the show for the most part. And then we had a couple days of like close-ups and things like that were but that were super technical. I think it really felt like just hit the marks, because Tommy's real intention was to capture the show as the show is performed. And so I sort of knew going into that what I had to do was like hit the marks, and we would be fine. And I trust Tommy Kail. I think he is very good at his job. So I was never like worried about it. I was exhausted. We added 2 extra shows onto that week, basically. So like that's a lot.
This was the first time that I ever felt a part of a championship team.
I think what was so great about being in that show and having Lynn's words to live through every night, it was very rare that I ever felt like, ooh, gosh, I don't know if I can, you know, muster up this emotion. I feel like I was constantly very emotional, simply because I would just look around and see everyone who I was on stage with, and I would get emotional about that. And at the very end of the show, I would look out into the audience. That's sort of like the last moment of the show. And I would get emotional in that moment, because what's so incredible about theater to me is that we're asking a bunch of strangers to come into a room every day and sit in the dark and have an experience together, and to find empathy. And I once heard from someone that humans are herding animals, like a herd of animals, and that when we sit together like that and we're watching something together, our hearts start to beat in the same at the same pace. So I feel like simply just by being in that room, the emotion was very overwhelming.
Jasmine, well, this is for everyone. What's your favorite song from each other's character?
Well, for Leslie, it's "Wait for It."
Sure, of course.
I mean, that's every time he sings that song, it just like makes me want to cry.
Yeah.
And it's also just like one moment where we like surround him and just completely support him. You know, he's just standing there and just singing his heart out. And I mean, it's such a beautiful moment in the show where the lights go low and the candles come down from the ceiling, and it's also a moment to take a breath for all of us. But I mean, the way that he just puts his heart and soul into that song is beautiful.
Yeah.
And
I remember when you came, you know, because Jasmine was one of the last company members to be added. And so I'd heard other actresses do that material. And when you came in so young, I'm a baby, so young, and she came in, and her centeredness, so centered, so confident, and the voice, it was like she completed our little family, you know what I mean? Right before, I remember the first time we heard Jasmine sing "Say No to This," and we were like, oh, okay.
So for the both of you, what's one quality or, I don't know, a memory or a line from the show, from your characters, that will always stay with you, you know, in your careers, in your life?
Well, this is for a dumb reason, but and the evidence suggests you engaged in speculation always stays with me because I really messed that up one night.
Really?
Like to the point where the whole show had to come to a screeching halt. And so
Oh, wow.
It kept going.
Oh, I would have loved to be there in the room.
It was the folks who were there still hit me up on social media to remind me of that time I ruined.
And what about you, Chris?
Oh, you know, there are so many moments. You know, the one that often comes back to me is not one that I said. It's one that was said to me, which is "Call me son one more time." That apparently people took great pleasure in seeing even a pretend argument between Lynn and I, which I can assure you was way more dramatic than any argument he and I have ever had before. Yeah.
How has it impacted your lives and careers?
You know, I was saying earlier that I feel very lucky that the show has allowed me to be able to meet people that I might not have been able to meet otherwise. It has opened doors, and it allowed collaborations, it has allowed conversations, and it has given me a chance to be able to meet certain heroes of mine, people who have influenced me directly and who have therefore influenced the show. And to be able to say to them, hey, what you have done for me has made a direct impact on me. And that is a very special thing to acknowledge people in that way. So I'm just grateful that the show has given us opportunities to continue doing what we're doing with people who are at a very amazing levels. And when I get to be in a room with someone like that, I just pinch myself because I'm getting to do what I love to do.
People are beyond excited for Hamilton on Disney Plus, of course, but it's no secret we also would love to see a film adaptation someday in the future. So do you think that'll happen? Do you think it would be with the original cast? Would you be up for it?
You know, my answer to that is the same answer that anytime anyone brings up the prospect of working with my best friends, hell yeah, I'd be up for it. I think it would require a different kind of approach to it. I'm confident that I won't age out of the role, which is great. It doesn't really happen all that often, but you know, I'd be down to do it.
Yeah, Washington's not.
I may have already aged out of the role. I don't know that I can't jump off that table like that anymore. So the lasting damage of doing that on my knees is pretty significant. So I'm actually. I mean, we'd have to reconceive it if they wanted me in it.
Right.
I'm sure.
But I also, it is particularly that act is really about young people. And if you're going to do a movie, you should probably cast somebody young to play that part. Right. I'll come back and play Jefferson in the second act, just strut around.
The hope that you